Hi, good evening, and welcome to Thfc Till I Die, your home of Tottenham Hotspur, present to past. And tonight we're being transported all the way back to the 2016-17 season as we start a new show. I've actually forgotten the name of the show. A Thfc.
You're in the life of the Spurs fan.
Do you know what? I had that in my head what I was trying to say, and I totally cocked it up. Well,
I was mastering it this morning.
The Godfather, or Jack Sparrow, as we like to call him, up to 7 Seas. He's going to take us all the way back to 16-17 season, where we were on at home. Yeah. It's the last year of White Hart Lane, and lost, of course, to Chelsea in that year as well, and load of other things. So, but anyway, joining me tonight is my usual co-host, Queen Ellie Tron of Hoybierland. Ellie, how are you this evening?
And my left hand, I can actually hold it straight now because I had it in a sling for 4 days since I dislocated my wrist. But I'm sort of being careful because it's still tender, so I've got to make sure that I don't make any sudden movements with it. So if you see me, it's going to be with my right hand, okay? Especially for Philip when I go, we're not worthy,
so
we're
what
not
you're
worthy.
saying, Ellie, is...
I'm going to do we're not worthy with one hand.
He's back now from his days. He's ready. He is back time from his trip around America and from Donegal, and he's back. Philip, how are you? And it's great to have you back.
Yeah, yes. Good to be back. I didn't think half an hour ago, I didn't think I'd be able to come on because we had a power cut here. Everything went just total black for about 20 minutes, but thankfully it came back on in time. So here I am to annoy you again for another night.
Nice to see you nice.
Yeah. Listen, we'll start it. We'll talk briefly about last night in a minute, but firstly we'll see who's in the chat. And the first thing is, this is the it will come up. Why is that? Why is that not coming up? I'm having a problem here with StreamYard.
You're having a bit of a
This
mare.
is the GoFundMe for charity stream. What we're doing? What?
I said you're having a bit of a mare.
You what, Ellie?
It's a London term. You're having a bit of a mare. You're having a bit of a nightmare.
I know. I left the mare outside with the other horses. She's having a great time. Anyway, got to that drink, Ellie, but give me some.
I think I should stick to the water.
But this is the GoFundMe. This is the GoFundMe for the charity stream we're doing. We do have Mickey Hazard coming on that day somewhere during the stream, so I'm over the moon with that. And we're also looking to get somebody else to come on. I can't say at the moment but we're hoping to hear back from them. If you want to donate, please, that's the GoFundMe link. It's on the YouTube channel. We're looking to raise 1,000, but the charity is streamers on the 19th of November. We start at 12 midday on Saturday, going all the way through to midnight Saturday evening, where me and Ellie and Philip will be doing all sorts of mischief, games, quizzes, all-time Spurs, everything. So if you do, so please go to there and please make what.
You don't want to be seeing that. You don't want to be seeing that. Why do?
You know what, Ellie? You've bought. What I tell you, I whenever you got.
You remember? I always tell you I grew up with 7 boys, so I'm corrupted.
That's the way of putting it. Yeah. That's one way of watering that bottle, Ellie.
It's just Volvic water. It's a good advert for Volvic. There you go.
Yeah, we believe you, Ellie.
But this is a Corona. That's a Corona.
All right. Okay.
I like Corona. That's the only beer I drink. I prefer Guinness, though. I prefer Guinness, but I'm going to save that for Ireland.
Well, you're within a mile. When you come over, you're within a mile of where it's.
Guys and girls, let's have a great show. I'm waiting. Lol. That's from Frank Last. Thank you, Frank. We're going to give you a great show tonight. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Thank you.
What were you saying, Philip?
What were you saying, Philip? There,
no,
sorry.
I was going to say, whenever you're over in Dublin, where you'll be on that night is about a mile from where Guinness is made. Even
that's it. I'm going to be. I'll tell you what. That mile's going to be a short walk. I like a bit of Guinness, but you know what I do? I tend to do it the lady style. I'll put a bit of blackcurrant on top because my daughter said, is that called a snake bite?
No.
Is that called? No, it's not called a snake bite.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, David Clark says, sorry, somebody told you to sling off then low. I told you.
Punching off.
Frank Last says, Ellie, stop punching off hands low. All right, yeah, I can punch a few of them, don't you worry. Right, Drula, my niece. Hello, Drula. Evening all. Evening, Drula. Well done. Thank you for tuning in. David Clark. Mickey Hazard was what a skillful player. Yeah, he was. He was more than skillful. You know what? He was a hard-working, skillful player that I liked. And then we got Mick Hermeluk saying, good evening, Dermot, Ellie and Philip. Good evening. Yeah.
Evening,
right, and then we got my niece again, Dula.
Yeah. Someone
check what's in my aunt's water. You know what? It actually is water. Don't you worry. I'm not an alky. Right. Next one. Come on, move on.
We'll have to send the drink police round just to double check that, Ellie.
Well, this is definitely a Corona. It's not a Stella Artois. You see, but it is a Corona. Right. So, any more in the chat? David Clark, more like vodka. And nobody believes me that I'm quite teetotal, really. Right, JC. Good evening, all. THFC till I die. That's it. That's it. We are all THFC till I die, even when we lose to Nottingham Forest. Any more? Any more? Is that all of them?
I do apologise if this stream's a bit jumpy. We have very high winds down here in Wexford tonight. It's very, very windy. So if the stream's a bit jumpy and we sort of overtalk each other, we're not doing the bit. It's just because the internet it's not 100%. So I do apologise.
It is. It's a bit because you're lagging a bit as well.
Anymore.
we've got. Yeah, JC saying, what do we think of Eric Dyer making the England World Cup squad, going home early if he plays? Yeah, that's true. I just want him to stay over there and not come back.
Well, this is the squad, Ellie. Do you want to talk us through it, you and Philip?
Well, Philip, you go.
No surprises with the goalkeepers anyway. They were the three that were always going. Pickford would be number one choice, I think, there. The defenders, now, there's a bit of injury. Kyle Walker is not fully fit yet, so whether he'll go or not. We were talking earlier about the odd couple in that defensive lineup there, Dyer and Maguire. Sounds like a box of matches. They certainly would not get into any decent team that I can think of, and I'm very surprised Eric Dyer's made the squad because his performances of the last few weeks have been abysmal. And knowing him, he'd probably turn up and play for England and have an absolute stormer, but he's been rubbish for Tottenham, and I'm very surprised he's there. The rest of fairly standard. Luke Shaw, Kieran Trippier, glad to see Trips. I always like Trippier. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he sounds like a soul singer. Having a great season, but Connor Colby with Everton probably should never have left Wolves. That's one of the reasons Wolves are where they are is because he's gone from them. And Ben White, we're not going to, he shouldn't even be playing football. Well, he's not. He's playing for Arsenal. Same thing. Yeah. So that reasonably good, but not good enough to win anything, I'm afraid.
No. And Ellie, do you want to talk about the midfielders and the forward line?
Yeah, the midfielders have been, you've got Declan Rice, who's fantastic. I think he's a terrific player for West Ham, as Harry Redknapp would say, terrific, right? Jude Bellingham, he's very good. I love him. I think he's going to be a world-class player. He's just got to learn a little bit more about the tactical side. You know, he sometimes drifts in and out of the game, but when he's on the ball, he does use it well, and I like him. Jordan Henderson, another one, he'll give you 100%. He's not the real deal in terms of midfielders, but you know he'll try hard. Mason Mount, he's got all the skill. You know, he's been doing well for Chelsea. Done that brilliant ball in the Champions League finals for Kai Havertz to score. He'll always turn up, but for England lately, I haven't thought he's turned up. So he's probably getting it on merit rather than on England performances. You know, Calvin Phillips, he's another one, very strong in the tackle, always works hard, sort of a workhorse, but he's got a little bit of flair as well now and then. You know, and now he's at Man City, he's going to learn a lot more about keeping the ball. James Maddison, love him. I absolutely adore James Maddison. He's a maverick player. Love him. I've always loved him. I wanted him at Spurs 8 years ago, but we never got him, because I think David Pleat was trying to sign him for us. So, yeah, he's one to watch out for. And I hope he gets game time as well. Conor Gallagher, another one. He'll give you his all. He's quite a tricky character, keeps the ball well, keeps it moving. Very efficient player, I would say. So it's nice to have someone like that in your team. When when the chips are down, you know, he'll fight for the ball back, which is good. Yeah. So that's the midfield cupboard. Who's going to do the attackers?
Go on, Philip. No, I'll let you do it, Philip. Go on.
Harry Kane. Well, I never heard of him. Who does he play for? You know, going to the World Cup.
A team that can't even beat fucking Nottingham Forest. That's who he plays for. Anyway.
He's supposedly exhausted. And here the England fans are doing a nut now. Why is Harry Kane exhausted? I'll just say to this. Harry Kane is a Tottenham player. Tottenham pay his wages, and Tottenham can use him whatever they like. England is only a bonus. Phil Foden, good player, like Foden. Always reminds me of some boy that you find selling second-hand cars or something. He's just got this look about him. Right, Sterling, I don't know about him. He's hot and cold, you know. I don't know really. Rashford,
more cold than hot lately.
Those defenses problems. Saka for Arsenal. I'm not going to comment on Arsenal players against my religion. Jack Grealish, Declan Rice should be playing for Ireland. So I'm not going to give him any more. Although he did play well last night from what I saw. And Callum Wilson, he scored against us, so I don't like him at all.
No.
You're funny, Bill. Yeah, he can do one.
Harry Kane, I would say Phil Foden, and possibly Saka as the front three in that main team. But it's a reasonable attacking lineup. But again, it's going to win the World Cup. I'm afraid they're going to come up short. And I'm saying that not because of any animosity. I just feel in reality, I think there's better teams going out there, and they'll do it. Probably,
well,
maybe.
Yeah, I agree there.
Well, I take Peter Simon's point here, and I agree with Peter. Simon says I do fancy Iran to get out that group as well. I think Iran for me going to win the World Cup.
I'll tell you what, they're going to surprise a few
still can't
people.
believe to put Iran in America.
Do you know? I'm surprised they're putting him with England as well.
You couldn't make it up. You really couldn't. It's.
Because Tony Blair won't be at that match, will he?
Doubt it.
I don't even think he likes football. I think he's more of a rugby man or a tennis man.
You'll probably find that Iran will send their morality police over to the World Cup to make sure the players keep their shirts tucked inside their shorts or something, Arrest them at half time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to log in again here.
All right, we'll keep the show going, Dermot. We'll keep the show going. So we've got United Spurs of America. They're saying America and Wales thanks Southgate for Dyer Maguire selection. So, right. Yeah, they're celebrating. They're having a party right now.
I can see Gareth Bale having with that England defence, Do
you know what I mean? United, that'll be Jacob. Papa. I love Jacob. He always comes out with the wittiest comments, But I think England, if they play their cards right, they can get out of that group quite easily. But if they have to make sure that they're on their guard, because these teams, USA, Wales and Iran, they're no jokers. They're going to want to beat England. So they're going to raise their game.
True. What do you think? On paper, it looks a relatively straightforward group for England to get out of. But, these groups have a habit. I'll use the Spurs group in the Champions League, for example. We thought that was a pretty standard group, easy group to get out of. Turns out it wasn't, And you've got teams there that will want to. The USA are no pushovers. Soccer is such a big thing in America now that I don't know about anything about Iran. I don't know what they're like, whether they're any good or not. But my feeling there is the USA could be a surprise package there.
Yeah, I think so because they've got a very good squad.
About Ivan Toney there. I think the main reason Ivan Toney wasn't picked is because there's an investigation into his betting habits going on. And I think until that's finished, they couldn't really put him in the squad. I know
I see.
He seems to be easily proved innocent. Because he would have been a good He would have been a good player in the squad, I think,
Yeah, because JC's raised it. Let me just go back to JC's comment. He's put, for me, Ivan Toney's omission was strange.
Yeah.
Oh, it's disappeared again. Oh, here we go. He deserved it ahead who is way off form. Right, so he deserved it ahead of Rashford, who is way off form. Which is true, because Rashford's been off form since last season, really. He's just started to pick up in the last few matches that I've seen him. But for the whole of last year, it was like Bambi on ice. He never performed at all, like David Clark saying Rice and Maddison and maybe Mount, the rest are quite average. Well, I wouldn't say Kane is average. No. I wouldn't. But Rice and Maddison and Mount, they're probably the three players what I would say are really good ballers. Rice is very good at keeping the ball. What do you think of those three players?
Rice, Maddison, who else?
And Mount.
Yeah, Mount blows a bit hot and cold. Maddison, I absolutely think is going to be one of the stars of the World Cup. I really do. I think he's a brilliant player. I saw him playing against us now, and he was absolutely superb. Declan Rice, good player. He's wasted at West Ham. Absolutely wasted.
Yeah, he is. He should have really moved.
He should go to a club that can play a bit of football, not a crowd of hackers like West Ham, So he's good, and he'll be good. He'll be another player that'll come out well in the tournament, I think.
Yeah, I can see Declan Rice moving next season, though. I can't see him staying at West Ham because his ambition must be to move on to a better club in terms of winning trophies. Because West Ham are a very traditional old club. However much spite we have for them as Spurs fans, they do carry some weight. The only thing is they never win anything.
No, they carry a lot of
like us.
Yeah,
they're a bit like us. If you take away our glory years, we've hardly won anything.
Still a bigger club.
Yeah. But we've won more than West Ham. That's one good thing.
West Ham fans are the best.
Around to get out the group.
Yeah, West Ham fans are the best eyesight in the country. They have to have. They're sitting that pitch.
I know. They're really far away from their team. And West Ham, they're built on tradition. They have to be close to the team so they've got that unity with the team. They're so far back now.
They're in the wrong ground.
It's ridiculous what they've done to their fans. Yeah. It's almost like they're saying, we don't want you near us, which is not fair. They're very loyal fans.
The back of the stand is in a different time zone from the rest of the pitch,
Like, I'm in my living room at the moment, and if I'm watching the West Ham game, they're right at the back of my living room, which is 39 feet. They're further away than that. I don't know how they can put up with it. You'd think they would have made a protest, wouldn't you?
I'll tell you why they're getting the rent of that stadium for a song. They're really getting that's why they're doing it, But anyway, that's enough about West Ham. Let's talk about this lot.
Yeah, that's enough of it. Come on, let's talk about Tottenham. Premier League Tottenham Hotspur stats for 2016-2017.
Now,
do
you remember what we all
way back? This is Philip's year.
Wow.
Sorry.
We'll all remember the start of this season. I think I'll cast your mind back a few months before the start of 2016-17. There was a certain Sunday afternoon in May when we went away to play our last game of the season against Newcastle, who had already been relegated. And we did a Nottingham Forest on it. We got beat 5-1. And as such, we finished third in the two-horse race because Arsenal by a point to come second after us being chasing Leicester the whole season. A season in which other clubs lay down and let Leicester walk all over them. But when we came to play, they put out their best team and they absolutely destroyed us on a lot of occasions.
Yeah.
So sour memories about that particular season. And my funniest memory of this,
everybody hates us.
Yeah. My funniest memory of that particular day was we drove up to Dublin. My daughter was about to introduce us to her now husband for the first time. And we'd arranged to go out for lunch at a restaurant in Dublin. And as luck would have it, of course, the lunch was arranged for the time of the match. So I was sitting there with my phone on, waiting for the scores to come through. And my humour was getting worse and worse as each goal went in. And by the end of the lunch, I think the man thought, what the hell am I letting myself in for here? But eventually he got married to her and everything's fine, But I always remember that. I went home in the foulest of humour. How do we manage to do that? But anyway, to move on forward, we then regrouped a bit during the summer. And we actually did a bit of transfer dealing between that season and 2016. And we brought in, I would say, one good player out of four.
Yeah.
We brought in Victor Wanyama, Southampton, for 11.
Wanyama.
We brought in Vincent Janssen for 17 million from AZ Alkmaar. Juan Pablo Velasco, I don't know what happened to him. Never heard of him before.
I don't think he played the game.
This was the start of the problem the Spurs had with players dealing with N. We had Nkudu, NG, and then Ndombele. None of them did anything for us, We paid 9 million for him. Musa Sissoko actually scored against us in that 5-1, and that must have persuaded POCH to sign him for 30 million, which is a a little bit excessive, I would have thought, And Maximus Tainio, who was Timo Tainio's son, I believe. And I don't know what happened to him. We never heard of him afterwards. But then we got really a few players as well, which I'm sure is probably on the next slide. Yeah, Grant Ward to Ipswich Town, Alex Pritchard to Norwich City, and he's since moved on to Sunderland, I think, for $8 million.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
or Rob United.
Player.
Yeah, DeAndre Yedlin. He wasn't a bad fullback. Newcastle for $5 million. I think he's playing in America now. And then Ryan Mason, who's now thankfully back at the club as assistant coach, $13 million to Hull. From where that didn't last too long. Accident against Chelsea. Had to retire. So that was our transfer business during the thing. We also got rid of Nabil Bentaleb as well for $16 million. We sold him. Well, we sold him to. Oh, there he is there now, Schalke. Yeah. Tom Carroll went to Swansea and promptly disappeared without trace, I think. So we 67 million. I think we spent 67 and we got in 59 million. So we a net of about 7 to 8 million quid, which is okay, reasonable enough, But what happened then, once we got the season started, we obviously we were in the Champions League in a group that included Bayer Leverkusen, Monaco, and CSKA Moscow. And despite going unbeaten in the league that season at home, we had a very checkered and very patchy Champions League. We actually our home record was played 3, won 1, and lost 2, which was against the grain for the season. And then the away record was played 3 again, and we lost 2 of them and won 1 of them. Actually, no, we drew 1 of them. We drew 1, lost 1, and won 1 away. We didn't qualify for the next group. We were put into the Europa League.
That the year we lost to Real Madrid at home?
No, we weren't playing Real Madrid that year. We actually went to play Ghent in the round of 32 and promptly got beaten 1-0
in the
away.
Europa.
2-2 draw at home. And that knocked us out at the round of 32, which is very early. So Europe was finished by the 23rd of February. We were gone.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the league, now that's a different kettle of fish. 26 wins. Yeah. That included 14 in a row at home. Can you imagine?
I remember that well.
Wins on the only teams to take us were Liverpool and Leicester. 2 1-all draws. The FA Cup, we got through to the semi-final after an amazing win against Wycombe Wanderers. I think it was in the 4th or 5th round, where we were 3-2 down going into injury time.
That's
and
right.
Dele Alli equalised, and Heung-min Son with a massive deflection got the winner in the 97th minute. So that put us through the FA Cup. But we only made it to the semi-final where Chelsea, of all teams, beat us 4-2, and that was that. And the EFL Cup, who did we get through? Yeah, we got to round 4 of that, and Liverpool beat us 2-1 at Anfield. So that was the Cups were all gone relatively early. Yeah, there's the overall position. I mean, played 53, won 33. It's just gone off the screen there, don't I think? Yeah, drew 10, lost 10. Look at the goals scored.
117 goals scored.
44 plus 73 goal average. I mean, that is that is amazing. That really is
amazing.
What do you call it?
Poch football. Whoever says Poch was a loser is wrong. They should say he's unsuccessful.
Yeah,
not a loser.
He
wasn't a loser. He was unsuccessful.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the points tally there. Look at the points tally there. We were 7 points behind Chelsea, who were managed by Antonio Conte at the time, ironically. And look, we're 8 points ahead of Manchester City and 10 points ahead of Liverpool. And with a total of 86 points. The previous season, we only got, I think it was, where were we? 70 points. So we gained 16 points on the season we finished 3rd. That's some improvement. Really is,
That's
Fun.
Yeah.
But the what do you call it? The fact that it was the last season at White Hart Lane, I think, was quite an incentive there. We really wanted to do well. And it was backed up by, like, Harry Kane was second in the Golden Boot to Romelu Lukaku until the last week of the season, when he scored 8 goals in a week. Remember that?
Wow.
He scored against Manchester United in the last home game. He scored 4 against hat-trick against Leicester, I think, and 4 against Fulham, or against Hull, or the other way around. I can't quite remember. But he scored 8 goals.
All the way.
Yeah, all the way. Oh no, the United one was at home. That's when we beat Leicester 6-1 and beat Hull 7-1 to absolutely rub it in. And they were relegated at the time.
Yeah.
But he nicked the Golden Boot off Lukaku. And look at Dele. Poor Dele Alli.
18.
He's on the verge of being released by Besiktas. They're going to get rid of him by the looks of things.
Yeah.
So how his star has fallen, you know. But 22 goals is brilliant. And Heung-min Son 21. So look at the total score between those 3 guys was 78 goals between 3 of them.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Happy
we didn't win anything. But we didn't win anything.
But with some of the football that we played that season, we were blowing teams away for fun. I was lucky enough to a game in December when we played Swansea and beat them 5-0. And that was the time, I think it was the South Stand, where they were building the stand behind the stand. And it was quite, got some idea of the scale of the new ground then. But that was a great match. That was my last time ever to be there. And I missed it because I used to always think the atmosphere, when you got to the top of the stairs at White Hart Lane and you looked that steep fall down to the seats, the blue seats and the pitch below, it really brought a shiver down your spine every time you did it. You know, still happens at the new stadium, but White Hart Lane was special. It really was.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the new stadium's like a big monster, isn't it? It's like a massive monster. You go in and it's like awe-inspiring. But then the team are not playing awe-inspiring football, are they?
Not really. Like, I mean, but look, I suppose you can see the reason for the new stadium, because, I mean, you couldn't survive in the Premiership at any great level with an income coming from 36,300.
No, you can't. You know? We had to build the stadium. There was no choice. We had to keep up with the big boys, keep up with the Joneses, you know, if we're going to go anywhere in football. But then we've got to make sure we get a better team as well. We've got to do some heavy recruitment.
When you look at the size of the South Stand there, that's now 17,000.
Yeah.
The scale of the ground now compared to what we had was brilliant. But I mean, White Hart Lane was I think, well, European nights at the new stadium are impressive. The European nights at the old stadium were absolutely spine tingling again. You know, the atmosphere, the crowd, brilliant. And
I remember Phil, when we played Barcelona, and they were spitting at us and everything, right? But the thing is, the atmosphere that day, because I was with my dad, and I just remember how fabulous it was in 1982. It was brilliant. It was that the whole ground. It was like an earthquake was under your feet from the thunder of the fans. It was amazing. Yeah, I agree with you. It was special.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the construction cost of 100,000, my God, an average Premiership player's taking that home every week now. You know, I mean that's incredible. It really is. You know, but it's such an iconic part of Tottenham. I mean, when you think about it, there's no disrespect to Tottenham, but there's not a lot more in it, you know, for tourists to be going to see other than Tottenham Stadium. You know. And there you are, the first.
But I'm from Tottenham, and I know Tottenham like the back of my hand. So I'll tell you what, though, there was a good Irish pub called the West Green Tavern on the corner of my road, of Beaconsfield Road, which was very, very well thought of.
Did you ever? No.
Yeah. I mean, my dad used to play darts there, and then there was the Jamaican pub, which was the Swan pub on the high road, which was good as well. All the pubs had character in Tottenham, because the character came from the people, because we were all poor people. We didn't have money, you see.
Yes.
So
I think it's great the way the club have regenerated an awful lot of areas of Tottenham. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and the fact that they stayed in Tottenham when they probably had the chance to move to the Olympic Stadium. I'm so glad they didn't get into that monstrosity, and
true.
well suited to it. You know, we would not have been suited to that place at all,
No.
and that would have been moving out of Tottenham.
Has to be in Tottenham, doesn't
You
it?
can't
It has to be in Tottenham.
Yeah, you can't call yourself Tottenham Hotspur and be somewhere else. You know, like it's
No.
only that other club up the road that moved from South London to North London. In my opinion, identity at all, because they're a South London team.
Yeah, I think they're slightly further away from us now, which is good.
Could be far enough
With
away.
their new stadium.
Yeah.
Even if it's 1 inch further away, it's still 1 inch.
True. I'm just looking at that slide. I wonder what the gate receipts were for that first game. 11,000 people, probably about a couple of hundred quid. You know? But were the players actually professionals then? You know, were they actually getting paid, or were they amateurs?
Yeah, well, how to become a professional club, and it's the most stupidest thing ever. Somebody went out and bought a pair of boots, and they actually had to pay for a pair of boots. That's why they had to become professional. Tottenham became a professional side over somebody, because if you were amateur, you weren't allowed to buy anything. The club weren't allowed to buy anything. It had to be you individually. But because Tottenham bought this player a pair of boots, they had to
supply the boots.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, but then again,
so
like
that for me, I mean, this bit me the first at the lane to Michael.
What's that, Dermot?
Well, actually, the first game against Notts County. The first game at the lane to Marcus opening was a friendly against Notts County, who is the oldest team in the Football League. I think Notts County are.
Yeah.
On the 4th of September, 1899.
If they're the oldest team, Dermot, who did they actually play? Did they play amateur teams? Because if there was no other professional team, they must have been playing other teams.
Well, they played they were playing like the Corinthians and teams like that, like the upper class teams. Then
it was army teams.
The army teams. The
Royal Engineers team, and there was other Navy, I suppose, of the team as well, which would have been drawn from the ranks of the serving officers and serving men.
Yeah, because Arsenal, they were actually called Square Dial. That was their first ever name. That's what my brother researched for me. He said they were actually called Square Dial.
Sounds like a food delivery service. I don't know.
You know what I mean? What a stupid name. And Arsenal isn't that much better, is it? Arsenal.
Well, that's Woolwich Arsenal. This is the gunnery place, the Arsenal. Woolwich Arsenal.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I just calling them a bunch of arses. Sorry, Arsenal, but you are.
Right, I think my internet's really bad, so I'm going to have to pop off the stream. I work in the background, and I leave it to you and Philip to Shirley, because my internet's really playing up.
So what are we covering? We're covering the
I'm just looking. David Clark's comment there is very interesting about. It'll go back to my thing about not taking over the Olympic Stadium there. Like Levy, I think he was playing devil's advocate there. He made out he was going for the stadium, but that was never serious about getting it. And he did use to get a better transportation system for the Tottenham area. So I'll give him credit for that. He actually played a blinder there, because he made out the club was leaving Tottenham and more or less blackmailed the government into putting in more facilities in order to keep the club in the area. Because if you took Tottenham out of Tottenham Hotspur out of Tottenham, huge blow to the area. Because look at all the employment it gives, even the schools. Look what the shops do on match day and all this, So it's never moved by Levy. Like, I don't always give Levy credit, but I give him credit for that.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about Levy is when that lockdown came and he tried to put them all on what's it called? I can't even furlough. That's it. That he tried to put, and then there was an uproar, wasn't there? And he quickly squirmed back. You know what? That's the sort of thing he would do. He's so, I don't know, I'm not going to comment on it too much, but it's something you expect that he would do, to put all his staff on furlough. That's not good. Sorry, Levy, but that was below the belt.
don't think it lasted too long, but I think he saw his mistake and he rectified it because
yeah,
I think
at least he recognised it and he put it straight. That's one good thing. Yeah.
I know he did.
So we got some more comments in here. If I bring them up, would you read them out then, Philip?
Yeah. Okay. Waller is saying that is spot on about POCH, Ellie. There you go. He agrees with your comment.
Thank you very much.
And
then we've got
Alex,
he's a young lad, though. He's a very young lad, but I love him because even when he doesn't talk about steak, he actually makes really good comments on other channels. You know, when he actually talks ball, right? Then we've got United Spurs of America. What are they saying?
Bissouma, our midfield hope future. I mean, starting now is I think to find his feet at Tottenham, and hopefully now he'll go on things in the second half of the season, because let's face it, the halftime break is coming after Saturday, and we need to use the time players are away to regroup, rethink things. Let Levy get his head together. Not Levy, Conte decide who he wants to bring in January, because there's going to be players are going to come out of the woodwork at the World Cup that we mightn't even have thought of now. We're going to be saying, God, I want to sign that fella, and that's going to happen. And hopefully, Peachy is away with a checkbook, ready to use it. 1st of January.
I can see Bissouma slowly finding his feet in that midfield, because when you think about it, Benny and Højbjerg sort of cornered the market, didn't they? So it was very hard for him to get into that, break into the team first of all. But now he's got his chance, especially against Marseille. I thought he was fabulous when he came on. I just thought that he linked up play well, and he got in the French players' faces, and he was like getting himself about. You know, he's really dominating that midfield area, and I like that because we saw that a lot at Brighton, but we haven't seen it so much for Spurs. So I just want to see the Bissouma come out of his shell and actually show us what he's really about. Because you know, when he marked Harry Kane at the match that time, he was awesome. You know, and even in the cup game, I went with my daughters. He scored a goal. It was a really good goal as well. And he bossed a lot of the midfield that day as well. But we just won 3-1 because we had a bit too much for him up front. And you know, Brighton, they haven't really got... If they had a fantastic striker, they'd be the real deal, Brighton, because they play some really good ball. So let's pick up David Clark's comment here. So do you want to read that?
Yeah, that's I commented on that one. Levy never tried to get the stadium. That's the Olympic Stadium. He used it as a route to pressure on the government to get huge finance for upgrades on the transport system, and it worked. Like he basically threatened to take Tottenham out of Tottenham, and that would have been a death knell for an awful lot of businesses in the area. So the government bought it really, and that's David Lammy, the MP. He said we have to change our name if we left the borough of Tottenham. He's still the MP there now. I don't think Tottenham Hotspur, if they played in Newcastle, would still be known as Tottenham Hotspur. But so I don't take that point. That might have been a threat. And I always thought David Lammy was a Spurs fan, but maybe he is. I don't know. But
I don't know. I don't know him. I just knew Andy Love. I knew Andy Love from the Edmonton area and the Tottenham area. And then we had Joan Ryan, who was Enfield North's MP. And she wasn't a Spurs fan, to my knowledge. But the thing is, to take Tottenham out of Tottenham, that's sacrilege. And for him to want to do that, even at the Olympic Stadium, you know, that was built for the Olympics. It wasn't really built for football. So the crowd are too far away. And I feel sorry for the West Ham fans, because they are loyal fans. They pack it out, 60,000 week in, week out, and they're not even a successful club in terms of winning trophies. So you can see how that one went. I just think it's underhand what they were trying to do. And then we've got JC here.
I don't think Levy ever. I don't think he ever had any intention of leaving Tottenham. He played his cards cleverly, and he got away with it. You know.
Mate,
we've got now. We have the best stadium.
He used it as a pawn. But if what I'm saying, if he was serious and he did want to take us out of Tottenham, then there would have been uproar, I think, because even those first stories that came out that he used it as leverage, it still doesn't ring true to all the Spurs fans, because we don't want to be a pawn. We want to be looked at as Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. But he has. The thing is, he's done a lot of good for us, Levy. But then, in terms of finances, he's made us sustainable. Like a lot of people say that he's done so many other things that are good. But on the football pitch, we just haven't been putting the right players on that pitch. It's all very well getting a beautiful stadium, but if you don't pack it with beautiful players who can play proper football, what we've been brought up with, Philip, me and you, we're similar age. You're a bit older than me, but still, you want to see exciting football. You want to see a football that's going to win us trophies at the end of the day. But it is a lot harder now because you've got teams that are monopolising the market with Man City and Liverpool have always been there. Arsenal have always been there. They've just dropped off in the last 6 or 7 seasons. But they've still won 3 FA Cups, Arsenal. Yeah. So why are we laughing at them? Do you know what I mean?
I think what's going to happen...
I don't know what your take is on it, Phil. What do you think?
We've got a situation coming up now in January and July, which I think... Every transfer window is crucial. But these 2 next transfer windows are absolutely vital to the success or otherwise of our club. If Daniel Levy doesn't back Antonio Conte, 2 things are going to happen. 1, we're not going to get the players in to replace the dross that David is talking about there, right? And 2, Antonio Conte will pack bags and he'll leave in the summer. As surely as tomorrow is Friday, that will happen if Levy does not back him. So that's why they're so crucial. If we get a couple of players in January, like a centre back and a wing back that we need, then that will keep things nicely ticking for the summer. Qualify for the Champions League, hopefully again. Then we're able to get the rest of the jigsaw finished and get the players that have caused us so much anxiety over the last few months. I'm not going to name them. You know who they are. Get them either out of the club or relegated to the bench so we never have to suffer them playing again.
Yeah, because I was just going to say it'll appease the fans if we get 2 of the positions we should have filled in the summer, because we were skirting on it. We got Jed Spencer, who doesn't play, who's a right wing back, and then we got on the other side we had Cess already, and then we brought in Perisic to play as left wing back. And he's not played every single game, but when he has played, he has affected the games. A lot of people were saying, Perisic has been poor. Yeah, maybe they're right, but he still affected games. Like the great Jimmy Greaves said, you can run about 100 whatever minutes. If you're not affecting the game, you're not doing your job. Your job is there to create and to score. Create and score. And if you can't create, be in the build-up to creation. You don't have to be the last player who plays that killer pass, as long as you've paid your contribution to that goal. And it could be a fantastic tackle. Yeah, it could be a fantastic tackle, Will.
Yeah, but Perisic has contributed. He's got his crossing has been excellent.
Yeah, he's got 8 assists.
We've got more goals from set pieces this season, from corners especially, as we have in the last 4 or 5 seasons put together. And that's down to the new offensive coach for set pieces.
It's down to the offensive coach, but it's also down to Perisic putting in those killer passes. Because if you're allowing Cess and on the other side, it's usually Sonny who takes the free kicks or he takes the corners. If you're relying on them to create that killer pass, you're going to be waiting all day because they're not going to do it. Cess will do 1 out of 10 that are good. Emerson will do none out of 10. Right? It's only Kulu on that right-hand side who can create. So then we got the other side, Perisic, who's creating, which is fantastic for our side because we're going to be scoring goals from their crosses. And we have really, really missed Kulu on the right. So I'm glad. As soon as he came on against Newcastle, we scored.
Yeah.
He created a goal.
Oh, yeah, against Liverpool. Yeah, hopefully he's back in the side. He should be fit enough to play again on Saturday. He's got no World Cup to worry about. He can play on, even if he's not fully fit, he can play on Saturday. There's plenty of time to recover afterwards, you know. But the thing about the players out, I'm just coming back to David Clark's comment there. Like Lo Celso is injured again. He's missing out on the Argentina World Cup squad because of the injury. So that means, like, are we going to be able to get rid of him? Or Villarreal or Valencia, wherever the hell he is, are they going to pay 15 or 16 million for a player who seems to spend 90% of the time on the treatment table? I mean, nothing changes there. And he's continuing his thing now. And Ndombele, Napoli going to buy him. You know, these are players that are going to be a drain on our resources if they come back to the club next summer. We don't want them back. We don't want them back. Dyer will be given a new. Hopefully,
they'll be kicked out. I would imagine. They've already got a plan in place for those players, so that if they do come back, they're going to be training with the under-23s, and they'll be away from the first team, so they don't poison us.
Yeah,
but the thing is, I'm sure they're going to get rid of them.
They're picking up 200 grand a week in the Chelsea's case, you know, and Ndombele's case. So that's where the drain is. You know,
I know, and the fact really ridiculous.
Giving Dyer a new contract, I just wonder who's watching the matches. Is anybody in the contract department actually watching the match? Because, his contract's up until next 2024. Leave it at that. Do not extend it. Because by 2024, we will have hopefully one, maybe two much, much better centre-backs on the books, which means I won't get a sniff. And he'll move on. Another Portuguese team or something. They go back to Portugal.
Yeah, he'll probably go back to Sporting CP.
It's sending it all
from Portugal.
Yeah,
he'll probably go back. He won't go to Benfica. He'll probably go back to Sporting, and maybe Marcus Edwards will come the other way. You never know, because there's rumours that he's going to come back, or we're linked with him. But there's so many rumours about players that are not true. You know. But he did score a good goal against us at White Hart Lane. Yeah.
I know. Carl Simpson's making a very good point there about Petrone.
Yeah, let's have a look.
And that could actually be, you know, that death could have affected the squad more than we actually think. I mean, we know it's all very sad that he's gone, but I don't think it's over and done with. He was a big friend to Conte, and the fact that he's gone off now, and unfortunately passed away very early. And who has replaced him as a fitness coach? I haven't heard of any appointments. So there could be more to that. I think it's out.
Do you know what we're doing? We've probably got someone doing it. I would say it would probably be either Stellini or Conte's brother doing it temporarily, because they're both. Conte's brother, I don't know if you saw him after the Champions League in the dressing room. He was fabulous. He was absolutely fabulous. He's just like Conte, but because his big brother wasn't there, it was like a lease of life had come out of him, and he was doing the samba and everything. You know, it was so good. I
thought they smuggled Conte into the dressing room of the QT. Used the kit basket thing that Mourinho did when he was playing at Chelsea or managing Chelsea.
Yeah.
But you see
know what? Go on, Philip. Go on, finish, because we're lagging a bit. So.
I'm moving forward on the comments here about Marcus Edwards. David Clark says you want to be desperate fan if you want Edwards back. I mean, Edwards had a great game against us, 2 good games against us, but I think the young fella has a bit of an attitude problem, and I don't think that is going to sit very well with the present manager.
But you know what, though? Men mature at different ages. I've got 7 brothers, so I know they can be immature. But by the time, listen, he's only a young lad. He learned his lessons. So now he's gone to Sporting CP. They very much like him. So if he does come back, he's going to come back a proper man with maturity. And he has got the baller skills, because we know that. I mean, he was called Little Messi by POCH, if I remember. But a lot of players are given that. Even Gil Messi's been given that name.
Yeah. One thing I didn't like about one thing I didn't like, normally when you go back to your previous club and you score, you keep the celebrations to a minimum. He didn't do that. I didn't like he would have been. He wouldn't have been. if Tottenham hadn't took him on as a youngster. So he was a little bit disrespectful, you know.
I think maybe he's harbouring a few, grievances there.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
Because do you know when you're that sort of player, like he's sort of Dele Alli arrogance, maybe he's got that sort of arrogant chip on his shoulder, and maybe he's carried that through to Sporting CP in terms of when he came to play at White Hart Lane, he thought, right, I'm going to give them one back, and I'm going to celebrate to stick it to them. But I understand your sentiment, Philip. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Yeah.
We need to be aiming higher than him. Aiming higher.
Yeah. I mean, I'll bring up some of the other comments that have come in. We've got JC saying they're planning on offering him a new contract beyond 2024. Dermot, when he still expires. So is this still Eric Dyer they're talking about? They're going to extend it to beyond. Do you know what? What is this man? What has Dyer got over this club? I don't get it. He plays atrociously. He can't defend, and we're going to give him a new contract. I can't understand it. I just do not understand it. If he's a top player, and you're going to give him a new contract to keep him beyond 2024, you think, give him a new contract. But he's let us down so many times. I can count all the times that he's let us down. So many times, more so than when he's been a brilliant player for us. Because I don't think he's ever been that brilliant in any match. Like some people he's solid, he's this, he's that. No, sorry, he can't defend. It's just not, he just loses concentration all the time. And then his passing is atrocious as well. I just don't like the player. I'm not going to talk about him too much because I'll get upset. I'll bring up some comments instead.
Let's see now. Edwards is a great player, but not who we need. Oh, sorry, that's JC.
We've got that one. There we go.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm commenting on that. I don't think we need.
We've had that one. Ryan Mason. So I think we're passing. Ryan Mason. Edwards, a great player, but not what we need. We have to go world class, and he's not that. True.
Oh, yeah, very good.
Do you know what? Yeah. I don't think we have to go world class. I think we've got to go baller. Somebody who can actually control the ball and lay it off lovely. There's lots of world class. There's lots of non-world class players who can do that, who are actual ballers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that, Philip?
I think James Maddison fits the
because we're not going to get the top world class players yet until we come that club that are winning trophies and also have got the backing, the proper backing of this board, in terms of the transfer market. We don't have to always go for the world class players, because a lot of teams have won trophies without world class players. Or if they do, they've only got one or two world class players that are already at the club. So then David Clark says, look at his record this season. It's very underwhelming. Is that Marcus Edwards you're talking about?
He really came up. His two biggest games this season were against Spurs.
Yeah, you see, any player can look good over two matches. And we've got David Clark saying Edwards hadn't scored in 6 games until NHS Spurs came along. I love David Clark, he's so funny.
There, yes.
And then Tom THSC says, we can't go back, need to go forward. I get better players centre backs first, give Dyer P45. True. Yeah, well, very true. I'll give him a P45 and a kick up the arse at the ground. Boom. Right, Carl Simpson says, trust Spurs to make players look world class.
We've done it time and time again.
Yeah, we do. Right, David Clark again. We've got Carl, please don't use the word great. Please, Edwards is a long way from being great. Very true. You know what? He's not a bad player, but he's not what we need. We need the right wing back and the centre back. Come on. And then maybe I like to see a creative midfielder, Philip. Would you like to see a creative midfielder come in?
James Maddison. Come in, James Maddison. Yeah.
Come on. Even though they say he used to support Arsenal when he was a lad, so did Doherty.
I forgive him. I think Doherty still does.
I think he's still playing for Arsenal, isn't he? He doesn't play for us. Yeah. But other than that, what other positions do you think we need to fill to actually mount a challenge next season? Because I think this season we're going to fall short. We're not going to win the title. I can't see it. No way. We're too far behind Arsenal and Man City now. Anyway, they're just superior to us.
Yeah, one or two centre backs.
I agree there. It's nice to have two, actually.
We need. We've got Destiny Udogie coming in at the right wing back situation next season, so that's going to be okay.
I'm excited about him.
He's been very good. So we need a left wing back because poor O'Reilly is not cutting the mustard. He's not. He's trying hard, but he's not good enough. We need a ball playing midfielder. That's where the likes of Maddison will come in. I think we're okay up front. I mean, the front four that we've got of Son, Richarlison, Kane, and Kulusevski, you'd find it hard to get a better front four than that, and to rotate them around three of them at a time. So I think we're okay in the forward line. But that being said, I know some young lad came through the World Cup and we're able to get him at a reasonable price, and he proved to be a very good player. Have him in the squad because we're going to need a big squad. Like look at the squad at the minute. We're forward fit for last night. Not last night, Liverpool. We need to have a squad in depth, and but I think that'll be spread over the two transfer windows. But the centre back has got to come in January.
Do you think we need a new goalkeeper as well, Philip? Because a lot of noise is going around Lloris about his kicking, a few gaffes here and there he's been making. What do you think?
Yeah. I think Hugo is been a great servant to the club, but like everyone else, time marches on, and I just think he's losing his ability. He's losing his confidence a little bit. A great shot stopper, but we need a goalkeeper like Alisson or Edison that can. It's basically an extra defender who can pass the ball out. There's great distribution. Hugo's distribution has always been pretty suspect. I mean, I thought every time the ball goes back.
He's never been good at kicking.
But he's got.
I think when he was a little boy, he wasn't given the football to kick. He just was in goal, taking them. Because in old school, you didn't have to be a kicker. You could pick the ball up and then boot it out. I think it would be better for him, and Conte really should work on this. I think it would be better for him just to boot the ball as far as he can, rather than do all this silly passing. Because you know what? We haven't got ballers at the back. The only one who can really play at the back is, there's two. There's Romero and Longley. The other five, they're useless. They can't bring the ball out.
Yeah,
Dyer can't pass. Yeah, they're not confident. You feel nervous, don't you? When Sanchez has got the ball, when it's played to him from Dyer, I feel nervous and he looks nervous. And then he makes the crowd nervous, and like the whole stadium is panicking. So he feels that. He actually feels it, Sanchez, and he's like panics all the time. And then he'll do a rubbish pass and then we'll get caught out. And invariably, the other team go and score, But I just feel, do you know what? I just feel like we're lagging because we didn't do that summer signings. We should have got it done then. And then we might have had a big chance. Yeah. Don't you agree, guys? Don't you think we should have done a better summer transfer window to address the areas that we really, really needed?
We did what we could. And that was it. We couldn't get any more in. But regarding Hugo Lloris kicking the ball,
but do you really believe that, Philip? Do you really believe that we did what we could?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I think we got it. We obviously tried for a lot more players than we got. If a player doesn't want to come,
I don't think we tried hard enough. I personally think we didn't try hard enough because we could have got a centre back better than Dyer. There's many, many better than Dyer. Just temporarily till next year, and then go for Bastoni.
We tried Bastoni. We tried. No, I'm going to give Paratici the benefit of the doubt here. I think he tried. Because why wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Why
I'm
wouldn't he try?
not saying that he didn't try it. I'm just saying he didn't try hard enough to replace Dyer, especially because he's a
I
big
disagree with
liability in our team.
that. I think he did, but just wasn't successful, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
Dermot wants to get in here. Dermot wants to get in. Come on, Dermot, what you got to say?
Is order. All I'm going to say is order in this little chamber.
Order.
Please just order. Look, I agree with Ellie and I agree with Philip. Paratici, he came in to a house that was breaking, Drew Hitchin. We've all got to accept that. Hitchin made a
true. No one's denying that.
Transfer policy at Spurs.
A shit house, they call it.
It's going to fix. I'll call it a few other words. Agree with Philip. I'm giving Paratici to the end of next summer. See where he goes. See what he does. Look, all these people that are on Conte's back, that are on Paratici's back, how about getting on the back of the players that are fucking up it? How about getting back onto them players?
They're immune from
it.
I know I do with Dyer. I'll give him grief every week.
But you can't sack a player. You can't sack a player because he's under contract because he's not playing well. You can relegate him to the reserves. You cannot play him. You can sack a manager. Yeah. That's the easiest way in the world to do it. So unfortunately, players are ring fenced and the players get into the comfort zone. And unfortunately, some of them, like Dyer, like Davis, like Sanchez, they're gravy train. They're getting very well paid for not doing their job. That's basically what they're
stealing a living, as they say.
On January, whenever Paratici works his magic, which we hope he will, that we're all going to be raving over our new centre half, which means Eric Dyer will only ever feature as a substitute whenever needed, and hopefully that won't be too often.
I hope he only gets 2 minutes, like Jed Spencer's given.
Yeah, well, it could be. Could be.
What damage can he do in 2 minutes?
Oh, plenty. He can do plenty.
He gives 2 goals away.
Yeah.
I like Carl Simpson's quote here. Hello, Dermot, who pops up after taking off his invisible cloak.
He's doing his Harry Potter impersonation.
Yes,
Dermot, you get a good banner up there. What was your favourite?
I love Carl Simpson. He's so flipping funny. He's so funny. He makes my day, Carl Simpson does.
Very good.
Every time I'm on this stream, and you two fellas do, but Carl Simpson in the chat, he makes our day, doesn't he? He's so funny.
Very good. What was your best game of that season?
To get back onto of the 2016-17 season. Who wants to go first? Ellie or Philip? Who wants to go first?
What was your best game of that season? Let Philip go first. Go on.
Right. My favourite one of that season was it wasn't one of the games in the beginning, middle, or in the vital parts of the season when we needed to win matches to get up where we did second place. It was the second last game of the season. It was the game 4 days after we signed off at White Hart Lane by beating Manchester United 2-1. And the reason I like this game so much is we played Leicester City, who we chased for nearly the entire season before that. And they with the help of other clubs, they actually won the title because it seems it was not right for Tottenham to win.
Everybody was losing.
So we went up to Filbert Street or whatever they call it, King Power Stadium, whatever they call it, and we beat them 6. And I can never remember how he scored 4 or 3 in that match, but he certainly himself and Sonny took them apart in the second half, and it was an absolute brilliant performance. And that put Harry in pole position for the Golden Boot, which he duly won. So there was loads of games that season, but the reason I picked that one was it was an up yours Leicester situation. Like you were champions last season. Look, where'd you finish this season? About 15th. And we went away there and we cemented second place with a huge win. Like we scored 14 goals in the last 3 matches of the season. So really a real celebration. Like it was Poch's, I would say, high watermark, really. That was the peak of Poch's achievements at Tottenham. I know getting into the Champions League final might also be regarded as a peak, but that was also the start of the decline. not backing Poch after the Champions League final. So I think that was Poch's finest hour to get us to second in the league.
Was we were playing at Wembley that year, weren't we? As well.
The following season. No,
we played at Wembley 2016, 17.
No, we were back. We came back during the season. We came back in April.
Oh, we came back in April. But did we start the season? We started the season at Wembley, didn't we?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
We
that's right.
The European. We played the Champions League games at Wembley, and we played all the rest of the games at White Hart Lane that season. But we played
except for the Liverpool game. We played that. We played the Liverpool game.
We actually moved
Liverpool 4-1.
We moved into the stadium in April 2019, which means all the matches were played at Wembley up to that. Then we moved all the games to the new stadium.
Yeah,
that's correct. Well, 3 years, 3.5 years in the new stadium now.
Yeah.
Ellie,
but one
was
of
your
those
best game of the 16-17?
Well, it was one game that maybe you guys might not think, but when we played the Greek side, Apoel of Cyprus, because I'm from, my roots are from Cyprus, right? So I went to Wembley that day and we beat them 3-0. And I think Carl Walker-Peters scored that day as well, if I remember right.
That's the following season.
Wasn't it 2016-17 season?
We didn't play Apoel. We played Champions League, Monaco, CSKA, Leverkusen, and Monaco, and we played Ghent.
Ah, right. Yes, I've got the wrong season. So
we went to Wembley that season. We were back at the lane, at the lane.
Yeah. So it was the season after we finished third to Leicester. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know really. There's not one match that stands out really for me. No, I would say the Manchester United game as well, because to beat Manchester United any year is fantastic. Because they were always beating us, and when we broke the duck, it's like when we beat Arsenal at their ground. It was the same sort of feeling, because I've always had a bit of a bone to pick with Man United because they stole Berbatov off us. And it was done in a really horrible manner, because I remember the story came out about Ferguson being in the car park and he gave up on Levy because Levy was dragging his heels about the money, and he said, I didn't want to do the transfer with that man. And I had a bone to pick with them. And ever since when we beat them 6-1, I was over the moon. And when we beat them 3-2 as well, when Gareth Bale scored, and I think Clint Dempsey scored at their ground, and I think Vertonghen scored the first one, but it was a deflection. Right? I just don't like Manchester United. So when we beat them, I love it. I absolutely love it, because they're like the pinnacle of British football, aren't they, Manchester United? They've got the romance. They had the 1958 air disaster that was tragic for their club. And since then, it's they're the babies of British football, of English football especially. And they get all the acclaim, they get all the euphoria, everything about it's Manchester United. And I think, no, I'd just like to beat them because of that, because they're always put on a pedestal, and rightly so, because they're a fabulous club. Don't get me wrong, I'm not stupid to say they're not a fabulous club, because they are. But I just feel when we beat them, I just love it. I love when we beat Man United. I love beating Liverpool as well, but Manchester United especially. Yeah.
I don't think the fans are they're losing 2-1 at home to Villa. So they are Villa beating again. So what's the score? Are they losing to Aston Villa? Losing 2-1 after 65 minutes.
Nice. I think they just want to go out the cup. Even Arsenal, they went out to Brighton yesterday, didn't they? Is there a conspiracy because there's no money in the League Cup?
every London club except Charlton Athletic are out of the cup at the moment, you know.
Yeah, but Manchester City seem to like to win it, don't they? I think they've won it 5 times or 6 times.
Might as well give it to them again, I think.
Just give all the cups to Man City and let's go home. Oh my God! Yeah, but I don't hate Manchester City. Yeah, go on.
What's that?
No, it's all right, Ellie. Go on. Sorry.
No, I was just saying I don't hate Manchester City.
I have to give up. I'm just.
We're lagging a bit.
Yeah.
No, I don't hate Manchester City, but I just don't like the way they've got the power.
Yeah. Don't like their money.
I'm not going to comment on it. I'm not going to comment on it because I'll get in trouble. But I just don't like the way they've just come in, brought in Pep Guardiola, and then just cornered the market. It's not my cup of tea. It's not fair play.
No.
Because they've won 4 titles out of 5, and prior to that they've won another 3, I think. So really, they've dominated British football in the last 10 years. And I know things go in swings and roundabouts, and other clubs can take over. But you know what? We have to strategically place ourselves to actually mount a decent challenge for trophies, because it's going to be hard.
We had a great chance. Yeah, we had a great chance.
Final, we're going to be facing them, or Liverpool, or Chelsea, or Arsenal. It's proven. Those 4 teams have cornered the market.
Yeah, the Carabao Cup was a great opportunity for us to get into a final, get near a final, and we blew it. Last night is we put out probably the strongest team of any of the big clubs.
Yeah, we did. So we weren't taking it seriously.
We got beaten by a team that made 8 changes.
Yeah,
which even worse, you know. I mean, I don't want to dwell on last night. It was a disaster, and one that we rectified by Saturday. Because I'll tell you one thing: the crowd is going to get a bit nasty on Saturday if things don't go better than they have done in the last couple of matches.
I know. Where I go, Phil, I usually go in 252 because you've gifted me your ticket, right? So I don't even know where it is yet because I haven't even looked where it is. Is it in the West Stand or the East Stand? I don't know. But the main thing is, wherever I am, I'm always vocal because that's my style. I don't like there sitting and going, "Oh, well done, chaps, well done." No, I'm not that type of fan. I'm more passionate, right? But my brother gifted me his ticket for the sporting game, and I was in with a lot of quite reserved Spurs fans, if you know what I mean. And I just can't do that. So I went back to my 252 again.
Right.
Because they're crazy in that section. They're nutters. They really are.
Man United just equalised 2 each.
Oh dear, that's a shame. That is a shame.
Yeah.
Like my husband, he quite likes Manchester United. And I said, "Why do you like them?" He goes, "Because they're a fabulous club." And I said, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, why do they have to win everything? But lately they haven't won hardly anything, which is good. But they'll come good again because they're Manchester United, aren't they? They will. Yeah. So what we got here? Can you read that one out, Bill?
Yeah, we all have to trust the Don and Conte. As bad as we all feel today, and most of us can't wait for the World Cup, but we will see the light. All them fans who want Conte out need to have a rethink because, I mean, we can't be. If he does leave, we'll end up with like Nuno number 2. We'll end up with someone like Sam Allardyce or some of that vintage, because I don't think any manager that's built a reputation around Europe is going to come and work with Daniel Levy if he sees it the way Levy.
They'll run a mile.
It's going to be totally hard to get. You always get someone that want to come in, but it's probably someone we don't want. So like it's vitally important. Next 2 transfer windows. If Daniel Levy gives Antonio Conte gives Daniel a shopping list, Daniel ticks off every item on that list, or else we're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Carl Simpson says, can't wait for Saturday to be over. This team needs a reset. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The thing is, it's not a team that we really want to be at the club, do we? Nobody wants Dyer. Nobody wants Davis. In their right mind, I suppose they've got their fans. They've got their fans that like them, but they're usually delusional fans in my book. How can you like Eric Dyer and Davis? Because they're not ballers. They can't control a ball for starters, you know, and their passing is atrocious. So I just don't get it. Anyway, we'll move on to the next comment. We've got Tequila 316 saying Conte walks and Poch comes back. It writes itself.
Yeah,
very interesting. Very interesting.
What's the point in Poch coming back if 3 or 4 of the players that eventually got him sacked in the first place are still at the club? If Poch comes back, Dyer has to be gone, Davies has to be gone, probably Lloris has to be gone as well. And who else was left? Well, Harry Kane was there and some there, but they wouldn't have been involved in that. Yeah. Like Poch, I would love to see Poch back at the club sometime, but not just yet.
Yeah, I agree with you because Conte's on a mission now. Like I saw that interview that he gave, and he said, I feel like part of the family." So he's feeling welcomed, right? He's gone back into not a shell, but he's not the Conte like we saw against Burnley. Philip, you know, when we lost to Burnley, he went on a tangent, didn't he? Went on a rant. That's the real Conte. He's been muted somewhat. I know that he has, because the way he does his press conference now, they're totally different from the press conferences he did before. So obviously he's had a little bit of the old Levy media training, as it will, you know, as it was.
It's a lot easier to do a press conference when you win a match than it is to do when you lose. It's very hard to stand in front of defend what's happened there the previous 90 minutes.
I know.
So, I see Dermot.
An Italian guy who's a winner, do you know?
Yeah.
Like,
he's a winner.
He's a winner through and through.
He's a winner.
I don't want Poch back, sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of people don't want you say never go back, but I think if Conte leaves, right, and we had a choice of some of the managers that'll put themselves up for the club, I think Poch does have unfinished business at the club and will be, but not until the guys that got him sacked in the first place are
and
gone
who
out.
said that? Who said that on our channel? It was Mickey Hazard. He said he's got unfinished business. Listen, it won't be the end of the world if Poch comes back to Spurs. Just put it that way. It's not going to be. It's going to be better than most of the managers we're going to be after, because he has got pedigree. He's gone to France. He's learnt his lesson. He made some really bad decisions in terms of, you know, like little things that he was doing errors on. And remember, we didn't win an away game for around 10 months, I think it was. We didn't win an away game. Was it 8 or 9 months? I can't remember, but we didn't win for a long, long time. So, you know, there's good and bad in every manager we've had, but he was one of the better ones. If you compare him to, say, Harry Redknapp was probably very popular. Yeah, so was Poch, but they were different popularities, if you know what I mean. Because, like, I remember when we got Champions League, when Crouch scored, right, and there was euphoria, and then we dropped, didn't we? And then that England situation came up with Harry, and then it went sort of pear-shaped. And then we brought in Poch. So was it Poch straight after Harry, I think, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Straight after that, or did we have another manager?
We had what you call him, Villas-Boas.
Villas-Boas, that's it. He didn't last too long. I think it was 18 months he lasted, wasn't it? I remember he was in charge when we beat Manchester United 3-2 away, wasn't he, Villas-Boas? Because I remember he was doing that punching when we scored. Yeah. Do you know what? It wouldn't be the end of the world, but if we're going to get him back, we'll have to back him as well, because we didn't back him the first time round, did we? We didn't give him tools. He had all the armour ready to strike, and then we didn't give him the weapons to go and do the business. Yeah. And we did let him down.
Let's hope that it's not a situation. let's hope it's a situation that doesn't arrive for at least 2 or 3 years, because the longer Antonio Conte stays with us, the more chance we have of being a successful club that wins. Because changing managers every 18 months or 2 years, it's not good for the continuity, and it means every manager starting again from scratch. So we want to keep Conte going, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think if there was better football being played and we were still having the same results as we've got now, there would be more optimism, because we're playing this football. You know, like we're playing the first half like we're conserving energy and not and doing damage limitations. Then we're coming out in the second half as a totally different team. But not in all games. Sometimes we've had 2 bad halves. You know, and we haven't upped our game in the second half either.
We've gone 2 goals down in the last 6 matches.
Yeah, and we haven't been able to recover.
But no, I think I think
moral of the story is don't let 2 goals in.
Yeah, that's true. I think we'll see a different Spurs come the end after the World Cup, because this season is always going to be a 2 halves. And look at it this way: we're still top 4 after playing crap. So what's going to happen when we actually do start putting a few games together?
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You've got to look forward to better football, because we know a lot of our players, all right, we've got some dead wood, but a lot of our players can up their game. Like Harry Kane hasn't even hit top form yet. Sonny's still to come back. We've got Kulu. We've got Benson Core, who's playing out of his skin. The man is on a mission. No, when I've seen him in the last few games, he's been amazing. I know we were playing Bournemouth are not, but they will still give their all against you, Bournemouth. You know, they're not going to lay down and die. Just put it that way. They gave us a game. Yeah, and then against Marseille, we had a very, very poor first half. I think it was the worst first half, maybe even up to last night. Up to last night. I thought we could never beat it, Philip, but we did. We did. Yeah. We even outdone ourselves. Yeah, so Carl Simpson says Poch was a lucky signing. Most managerial appointments are. He wasn't even first choice. No, I remember. Who was the first choice when we got Poch? I can't remember. I just can't remember. I can't remember. Can anyone enlighten us who was our first choice in when we got Poch in? There we go here. I wouldn't be surprised if Brendan Rodgers gets the Spurs gig next summer. Well, he was touted, wasn't he? He's one that Levy admires. He does admire him, doesn't he, Levy?
Yeah, no, I'm afraid I'm not a Brendan Rodgers fan, I'm afraid, even though he is Irish.
Even though he's an Irishman, you're going to put him down. Oh, dear. I think there'll be a rumbling in Ireland after you said that.
No, he's more than Ireland. No, I wouldn't be a fan of.
Become Ireland's next manager then. Would you like him as Ireland's next manager?
Ask Dermot that one now. The problem, we can't afford anybody at the moment.
Yeah, true. But Dermot was saying you don't like your manager at the moment.
No, he's rent manager. He's a yellow pack manager. He's cheap, and he was available. And because of the mess our previous president left us in, we've no money, and there's huge debt to the FAI at the moment. They can't afford to bring in a good manager. So, you know,
there we go. The man with the magic cloak. He's frozen.
I tell you one thing now. I was playing around with my internet. All I heard was Kenny's name being mentioned, and my head had up hit the table. Right? So,
did you get a twitch in your eye?
Bad news! United just scored again.
Okay. And we've got Carl Simpson here. Yeah. Dermot, do you love Rodgers? Come on, answer that one, Dermot. Come on.
Roger. Well,
Brendan Rodgers.
Roger Rabbit or Brendan Rodgers.
Roger Rabbit, she's white.
I'm sorry. I've got a surprise for you two. Actually, give me a second. I'm going to bring
hit us with it.
For you.
We've won the league.
You know nothing about this.
What we've done.
right?
They've given us the league title.
Two Forest goals in
this is the thumbnail.
Yes.
Yeah, hang on. This is the thumbnail for our charity stream.
Nice one.
Very good.
I look quite sultry there
So
with my eyes. Look at
that. Yeah. Philip looks like
he's very good. Looks good.
Ready to go for Levy, and I'm just in the center of the stadium. That's just me. But anyway, that's that. That is the thumbnail. I had that sent to me tonight.
So
but
I'm
the right wing back,
Lazy Eight Nick,
who did.
Yeah, you're in the middle.
Center,
you're Eric Dyer.
Back three.
You're Eric Dyer in the middle.
Where has she gone now? Sorry, Ellie. There you go. We'll get rid of her now. That's enough of that now. Eric Dyer, my arse. I'll give her Eric Dyer.
You've
fucking Eric Dyer. I'll give you Eric Dyer, Ellie.
Oh my God. The Irish Hotspur is in the house. There we go.
I don't want Yeah, Ellie, I just want to give my thoughts on something, if that's okay. Because I've been bobbling to say stuff. So I'm going to need 5 seconds for me to get what I need out. Why I don't want POCH back is because I don't want POCH back. Because there's no point going back to a manager that wasn't successful. Okay? We got the best manager in Europe. Let's back him. Let's stop all this shite talk about Levy back, POCH coming back, or getting somebody else. Let's just back the manager we've got. Okay?
Yeah.
And for these fans that want Conte out and that want, why not just look at the players? Look at Sanchez. Look at Dyer. Look at Doherty.
Davis.
Who couldn't keep us. Right? They wouldn't even get into the Irish team. If they were Irish, we wouldn't even pick them. That's how bad they are. So, now look, all this Conte out stuff is bullshit. And that's what it is. I don't know what's happening to Ellie. Is she there? Big up, Dave. Dave's in the build. We've got Tequila 3. We've got they could not deliver the. Hang on, let me get that. Do you want to read this out?
Yeah, they could not deliver the quality on a consistent basis, on or off the ball, to keep us around the league or the last 4 in cup competitions, because they were not good enough mentally. Yeah, it's basically saying Dyer and Light and company they don't have it physically, they don't have it skillfully, they don't have it mentally, and it's time for them to retire gracefully and go and trouble some other fans. So that's some other club.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I just bet him up, you read them there for us, Philip, if you don't mind.
Do it consistently. So why do people expect Conte to do? Yeah, I mean, it's the easy way to say get Conte out, but Conte is not the player. It's we've got one of the best managers in the world here. We should be backing him to the hilt until such time as he declares that he has either successfully completed his project by getting in the players that he wants, or he declares after a reasonable length of time that, sorry lads, I just can't do it at this club. I'm just not getting the backing to do it. And at that stage, you'll make Daniel Levy look very, very stupid, because Levy's got his man now and he's got to look after him. Got to look after him in January and July. They're going to be the 2 most crucial transfer windows in the club's history, in my opinion, because it's either sink or swim time. And we need to swim, not sink.
That's it. All channels that are talking about POCH.
Yeah, well, let them talk. At this stage, it's only talk. Look,
Philip, I'm being honest here. I don't want POCH back at Tottenham. I don't know why.
Well, to be honest, I think it's an absolutely futile discussion at the moment, because Antonio Conte is our manager, and You can talk about bringing in whoever you like. It's not going to happen for the foreseeable future. So why get ourselves in a lather about it? You know, just let's take it. The Conte is our manager until he says he's not our manager, and at that stage, we'll look at the situation and see what's what. But there's no point in what the Conte out crowd are saying. They want POCH in because they think POCH maybe he identifies more with them. I don't know what the reason for it is. As you say quite rightly. POCH was not, he was nearly successful, but not quite. Whereas Conte has the ability to make us successful. And it's the old thing, two things. One, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And two, the field of dreams, if they build it, they will come.
That's it.
And that's still the attitude I have with Conte. He's building and he's not finished the blocks yet. Well, she's back.
No. Ellie is back. Ellen is back in the building again. She's back. Hello. She's getting her. Look, for me, Philip, I agree with you. While Conte's our manager, we need to back him 100%. All this talk about we want POCH back, but when POCH wasn't doing well, they wanted him out then. So how long would they give him that they want him out again? I mean, it's a pointless discussion to have because we have a decent manager who's won things, who's on the cusp of winning some. You what, Philip?
We're very fickle. That's the problem. You want instant success, and when it doesn't arrive, you get itchy fingers and want to move on to the next guy. It's not the way to do it this time.
We've always been
we've
always been a fickle fan base, though, haven't we? We've never been happy.
Oh yeah, as long as I can remember. As long as I can remember, we have been. And I think it's okay. Most fan bases are probably the same. The things, one, the lack of success in the last 15, 16 years. And also the fact that the other club down the road, even going through transition periods, seem to be able to pick up trophies. And that's frustrating for a Spurs fan. Very frustrating. And we want to be better.
I'm going to ask you.
Better than them.
I want to ask you and Ellie a question. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but I would love to get your thoughts on it. I'll start with you, Ellie. Look, we Tottenham have always been successful in the 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s, and then we've gone through this lull period of not winning anything. When you were going to Tottenham back in the day, back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, would you watch them, Philip, a bit earlier than that? Were the fans the same then now? Or is it a generation thing that the fans have changed over the years of football as it's changed? Do you know, what were the fans like back then when Tottenham weren't winning stuff? Like through 75 to from 75 season on to the 80-81 season. What were they like through that time period? Were they as fickle then as they are now?
Do you want me to answer that, really?
I don't know. Ellie
sounds gone.
Yeah.
Can't hear. Yeah, she left them on. She left them there. Jim, I'll answer that question just while Ellie's.
Yeah.
I think
I've always wondered, Philip.
No, I tell you, fans have always been fickle, but in the 70s and 80s and 90s even, there wasn't the avenues to express your frustration that there is today. Social media has played a huge part in the voicing of the fans' frustrations over the lack of success. Like when you think about it, back before the days of Twitter and texting and the internet, back in the 80s, the only way you could you'd be able to express your be writing into your local paper or ringing up a radio station to talk about it. Nowadays, you've millions of forums discussing to the last degree the mistakes the players made during the last match. Everything is amplified 100 times. I think social media has meant we're far more fickle now than we were back in the day when there was no such thing, social media.
Look for me. I'm going to say I agree with Dave here, Conte, and I know Philip's the same. I know Ellie's the same. That's why I was asking the question. Ellie, can you hear us? Hello.
I think her iPad's died. I think.
Yeah, I think yes. Look, we might just end it there, Philip.
Yeah.
We're especially tonight's been a bit dodgy with the internet and everything, but look, for me, it's Conte all the way. I don't think we need to start talking. We need to give them the tools to do the job.
I just hope that the team signs out.
One more game before.
Yeah, signs out on Saturday with a good win over Leeds, and go into the World Cup with a bit of confidence for what happens when we come back, because the players will have a good rest now, the ones that aren't involved, and Conte will be able to drill his methods into them over the weeks that they're there. And I'm expecting a different Tottenham come back on the 26th of December.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Philip. I've actually fallen out of love with my club. And it hurts to say that after what we've been through this season, after last night was the first time in 40-something years, I'm not bothered about Saturday. I'm not bothered about them playing. I'm not bothered about the result because I'm so pissed off with them. I'm so pissed off with the same players letting us down.
That shouldn't be. And I hope the players are hurting as much as the fans. But my worry is they're not, because they're getting their 150 grand a week regardless what they do on the pitch. And it's the likes of you and me and then the rest of us that have to bear the brunt of the jibes and the abuse you take from other fans of other teams. You know, lucky enough, last night no fan of any other teams then, because they all nearly lost as well. But you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a good way to sign off.
Dave here. He's now. I think this is a good one to sign off with. Conte in, out, shake it up.
Yeah, you should.
Do you know what? I feel sorry for Dave tonight, right? And he was watching. You could see the pain in him. And hello, she's back. Ellie, can you hear us? Please come in. No, Ellie's gone again. Ellie's like the. Yeah, Ellie's like the space shuttle that went to Mars and never was heard of again. That's what this is from NASA had.
It's like the what do you call the Donald Trump was going to send a rocket to the sun, and he was told you can't send a rocket to the sun; it'll burn up. He said, "It's okay, we're going to send it at night." Yeah.
I swear, I watched some of the. I have to say this: I was watching the American elections the other night, right? And it's the most complicated electrical system I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's mad.
But
it's mad. Anyway, I'm going to sign off.
Ellie, well, look, we've got Ellie smiling. I think that's what we're going to do as well. Listen, thank you very much for everyone for joining. Ellie, stay there, Ellie. I'll talk to you in a minute. On the 19th, we do have our stream. Please, everyone, just up again. I don't know why she's putting a thumb down to the stream, to the charity stream. Let me. Anyway, the link for the GoFundMe is on there. We've raised €30 so far. Thank you to Philip, who donated today. So thank you so much for that, Philip. So we're €970 away from our goal of €1,000. So please hit that GoFundMe link. The money goes directly to the charity, which is called asiam.ie, and they will be coming on the 19th Saturday week. So we're looking forward to that. But thank you for everyone for coming in. Thank you for Dave Clark, Carl Simpson. And for bearers tonight, we've had technical issues, I think, between all of us with the internet, with Philip's having a power cut before the start of the stream. And I think it's been one of those shows where everything technically can go wrong, has gone wrong. But we're still here. We still can't hear Ellie. She's minding something. Point. Sorry to everyone out, but I will give you a bit of Ellie end off the stream. Here's Ellie. And hello, what's she doing now? What is she up to now? Oh yeah, she's getting a Hoybier shirt. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we're back tomorrow at 12.